Did you know 70% of businesses fail because they don't understand their target audience? You're probably wondering, this is a series on streaming and content creation. Why are we talking about businesses? Well, we can apply these same principles of a business to being a content creator/streamer. A lot of new creators fizzle out with content creation for a variety of reasons, but very commonly, people are streaming to 0 to 1 viewers and not growing and not really understanding the reason why. A good chunk of lack of growth is due to not finding your target audience and not understanding what your audience is looking for. Imagine you're speaking to a crowd, but everyone's wearing blindfold. That's what marketing looks like without knowing your target audience. So, for episode 2 of our streamer series, I want to talk about how to find your audience. This will save you so much time in the long run if you learn how to do this at the beginning of your journey, so that it becomes a part of your weekly analysis of your content. It's very important to know that this stage can be done even before you start streaming. So, let's get started with how to identify your target audience. So quick plug, just like last time, don't forget to check out the link in my description that will bring you to a document that I created for this series for each episode so that you can jot down your ideas and have a quick reference to refer back to. Happy brainstorming. All right, so first step for this episode is learning how to identify your target audience. Even if you're doing streaming for a hobby, it's still really important to figure out what your potential community is looking for. Let's be honest. It's way more fun talking to friends, viewers, potential followers about the game content you are doing rather than just talking to yourself. So how can we create your space to attract your target audience? If you watched the first episode, we talked heavily about learning how to curate your physical and digital presence and determining what type of content creator you want to be. So definitely make sure you go check out that episode. This is a very important step that you need to do because it really leads into attracting your audience. If you don't know what you want to do with your content, how is your audience going to find you? Once you know what type of content you want to make, you can easily identify the type of viewers you want to attract. For example, for my content, like I previously mentioned, I really enjoy RPG, story-driven, player choice, character customization type of games. And so my target audience are viewers who are okay with slower pace, dialogue-heavy type of streams with action sporadically throughout the game. And so a lot of my viewers and audience and followers are people who have either played these games themselves and like to provide, lore or backstory or helpful hints throughout the game. Additionally, my audience has now expanded to include, comic book aficionados, reading aficionados, anime lovers, cosplayers, and so much more. So my audience has expanded beyond my initial box, beyond RPGs as my community has grown. And the same will happen for you once you're able to identify the type of content that you want to put out there and learn how to attract the viewers for that specific content. When considering your target audience, you can even break it down into demographics. So that includes gender, age, location. A good example of this is considering your stream time. I typically stream later in the evenings on the West Coast, and so a lot of my target audience includes a lot of people from different countries and the night owls. You can choose whatever works for your own personal schedule, and no matter the time, there will be an audience for you to target. Ultimately, the easiest way to identify your target audience is to create an audience profile. So what I mean by this is develop kind of like an outline or an overview of what your ideal viewer is and what you think the ideal viewer's motivation is for watching your content, and then create your content based on this ideal. So before we move on to our next point, I really want you to take a moment to brainstorm what type of audience you want to attract, and use that document that I created for you to write down those ideas so you have a quick reference guide for that. For this next point, this is something that is typically done after you begin streaming, but I included it in this episode because this episode is all about understanding your audience, and so this is a really important concept. So after you begin streaming or posting content, you will start to have access to a variety of analytic tools regardless of the platform that you choose to stream or post on. You will do yourself a disservice if you don't use these tools to learn about your audience and modify, revamp your content based on these results. So let's pull up some examples of the analytics tools that you can use. I'm going to be using my analytics from Twitch. So this is something that you can see if you're keen to using the Twitch platform, but regardless of the platform that you post on, you will have access to some type of this analytic tool that you can use to kind of tailor your content based off of your audience preferences. So first up, when you're using Twitch, you can see you'll go to something called your creator dashboard, and on your creator dashboard you'll have a variety of different categories, and you'll see a tab that says analytics. So in your analytics section you'll have a couple of different categories. You'll have your overview section, you'll have your research section, achievements, and stream summary. So the overview section kind of gives you a snapshot over the past month, the revenue that you've brought in from your streams, if you've made it to the point where you are making monetization from your live streams. It'll show you, your average viewers over the month, how many follows you've gotten in the past month, how many subscriptions, like I said, your revenue, and the amount of time that you streamed over that past month. It'll also give you some category suggestions, and additionally will give you some milestones that you have achieved during that month period. Now moving on into the research section. This is something that's new on Twitch. It'll show you by category. If you recently streamed a game, it'll tell you the best time to stream that game based on the day and what time there are a lot of viewers watching that particular game. So if you change the category to just chatting, it'll tell you that information as well. And so this is a really great way to figure out, oh, maybe I should stream at this time, or maybe I should use this category on this day. I have heavily used this a lot to kind of revamp when I stream and when to just get the most engagement out of my live streams. Another important section of the analytic tools that we are looking at here is you can see, you have something called a stream summary. This is something that gets sent to you after each and every stream that you have, specifically on Twitch's platform. It'll tell you like how long you streamed, how many viewers you averaged during that stream, the max number of viewers, your unique viewers, unique chatters, live views, the amount of followers that you've got, and how many new subscriptions, again, if you have made it to that point where you have monetization of your channel. So it breaks it down so much into what points of your stream did you have a lot of viewer engagement. It tells you the exact times and moments that this happened. So this is a really good way for you to learn, oh, when I switched to this portion of my stream, my viewership dropped off, or, oh, it boomed at this time, or I've been streaming for 6 hours. I'm noticing that people tend to drop off at hour 5. It's a really great way for you to revamp, modify based off of your audience preferences. Additionally, on the stream summary, it'll tell you how your channel has been discovered. It'll tell you it comes from your followers or other channels' pages or the browse page or other external views. And it'll also tell you how big your follower reach is and how much engagement you have from your live stream notification. So again, very, very great tools for learning how to analyze your audience preferences. I'm really happy with a lot of the upgrades that Twitch has done to the analytics section because it really helps you tailor your audience preferences and learn what your audience likes about your live streams. One of the things that they recently added that I really love is that they show specific moments during your streams with timestamps of where you had the most engagement. And so you can refer back to your VOD, which is your video on demand, which is something that gets created after each live stream that you have so that you can refer back to old streams. And you can see the exact moments where you had engagement or where you had things kind of drop off, and it's so helpful as a creator to look at that moment so that you can, like I say, tailor your content to your audience preference. As you begin to view these analytics, you can begin to tailor your content experience to maximize these key areas that your data is showing you. For example, based off reviewing my own analytics, I've realized that Sundays are my lowest engagement days. And so I shifted to doing more streams during the week so that, I can make that adjustment. And I noticed that I had significant improvement in my viewership. So I definitely recommend that once you have a solid few weeks to a month of streaming or content posting, that you really dive deep into those analytics so that you can begin to make adjustments to your content. Every platform is going to have their own version of an analytic tool. Some will be a little bit more advanced than others, but I highly recommend you use those to your advantage. Additionally, during this time, you should be testing different content types to see what really resonates with your audience the most. So try streaming at different times or try streaming different type of content to see what it is that is going to resonate with your audience. There are also some things, some websites that you can use that can pull your data from all your different platforms. There's things like Beacon that creates something called a media kit for you, which is something that we'll touch on later on in one of the other episodes. But it helps with pulling data because you're going to be posting on multiple platforms. That's kind of the downside of being a content creator, is that you kind of have to post to multiple different platforms to kind of figure out how to grow and learn the algorithms for each platform. And so it's very helpful to have a website that kind of pulls that data for you, so you're not manually going through and like, oh, how many followers do I have on this platform, or what's my demographic on this. So this brings me to my next point of tailoring your content to your audience interests. So how can we go about tailoring our content to our audience interests? There are so many different ways that you can go about tailoring your content. After you reviewed your analytics, you can make some educated guesses about the type of content your audience likes and adapt based on that. Or even simpler than that, you can simply ask your audience what type of stuff they want to see more or less of in your content. So if you've noticed that during your analysis phase, that if you tend to have people drop off during streams where you're going for 6 or 7 hours, try adjusting for shorter, more frequent streams. Or if you notice that when you're playing a certain type of game or doing a certain type of content, you have tons of chatters or tons of engagement on your posts, try doing more of those type of games or content. You can have your viewers even do vote on polls where you get feedback on the type of stuff that they want to see. I remember during my very first year of streaming, I made a poll on Twitter. Yes, I still call it Twitter. I used to call it X. Asking my followers what they liked about my content and the reasons why they tuned in. And the responses they gave me were so heartwarming and just gave me a really good idea of why people tuned into my streams. But let's always remember, don't do things that you don't enjoy. So if you're not having fun making the content you're providing, you really need to readjust and find that love again. Enthusiasm and passion is like a moth to a flame for a large portion of your viewers. They want to be entertained. So entertain them.
Are you not entertained?
One tip I recommend for the phase of tailoring your content, if you haven't started streaming yet, is to find a content creator that makes content that's similar or at least a little bit close to what you want to do, and see how they engage with their audience and see how they make adjustments and adapt to their audience preferences. This point is a whole lot easier once you have a couple of streams under your belt, but it still can be done prior to streaming. But it's a really important thing to do so that you can have growth and longevity for creating content. If you refuse to analyze or reevaluate and adjust, you'll become stagnant, and that is what causes a lot of content creators to give up in their first few months of posting content and being a content creator. Okay, so we covered so much in this episode. I hope I was able to convey the importance of learning how to understand your audience straight out the gate when you first start making content, so you can build that following and start to see that growth in your channel. So just to recap a couple of key points that we talked about, we learned that establishing your creator persona goes a long way with helping to identify your target audience by allowing you to kind of put yourself in the mindset of the viewer. We talked about the various tools you can use for your analytics, specifically on Twitch, but each platform will have its own analytic tools, and how you can use these tools to analyze your audience preferences and adapt and tailor your content based on those analytics. Please take my advice and don't allow yourself to get stagnant. I want to see you win, so use all the tools at your disposal to help yourself grow. Now, I'm really excited for the next episode because we're going to get in depth about how to develop your brand identity, and we're going to get into making overlays, creating fonts, making alerts, and so much more. So I really hope you enjoyed this dive into analytics. Let me know in the comments, what your biggest challenge is for getting started with content creation. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so that we can do more videos like this in the future. And let me know what other type of content you want to see in the future. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. Reaper out.